Hey, John.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good deal. Thought I had this set to admit people without the waiting room, but sometimes them fools me. So I'm gonna keep a good eye out. Everybody here. Well, I checked the MQ, Mike, and fingers crossed, man. We look good for this afternoon.
That's good news.
Yeah, it is, man. No, it's a little bit of science, a little bit of luck. Like a lot of what we do, and be more diligent tomorrow. We got the 80. Says we got the 83. Yeah, tomorrow, really Friday, Saturday, the 90 range is when we watch it, so we'll see. But yeah, no, as much, trust me, at or something a gallon, as much fuel as we can save every minute is huge.
Yep.
So we
No
still got
kidding.
17 feet, which is good, and in a broader picture, that's could be a month, could be 3 weeks, but I run it down to about 8 feet as a good measure. We could go lower, but I don't like to. But yeah, no, hopefully we'll get some resolution. I know they were doing something on Capitol Hill, waving some kind of act that they did back in 2011 when we had a conflict with Libya. That's going to give some price relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's something to do with non-American flag ships built in America, 75% from the 1920s.
Oh,
That they,
wow.
it's bizarre, but hey, if it works, then so be it. But yeah, no, looking good so far on that. And I didn't I never knew that we had one. I knew we had compliance, but I got a air pollution inspection coming up, which we have all the records, fuel deliveries and maintenance logs and fuel logs and all that. So um, it's about the 10 days away. No, about 8 days, 26. So be ready for that. Nice guy. A lot of those state inspectors are really good guys and give you a lot of help. Not adversarial and there to lend a hand to, which is good to see. So these guys are good to work with. This guy, yeah, no exception. We should be good to go. It's weird though. Connie brought up the last inspection that they did in a couple of years ago, and it says that our generators power Bullfrog Marina. I was not aware of that. So uh, I want to make sure that's corrected. So there's nothing extra that we're expected to do that's a consequence of that. So uh, anyway, no, we're looking good here and getting things caught up, and the audit's ongoing. Audit looks a lot of questions as usual. So yeah, so no, it's good. It makes you think, and a lot of them are self-explanatory. Like, why did you use more water than last year? It's because the answer is we used more water than last year. That's why we use more. Just
Yeah.
things like that. Now, a lot of them are self-evident. They have to ask them, and it's in depth, and yeah, it's good. No, it's good exercise. It's lengthy, but it's a good one. We started on this in January, and they're just getting started. So this will run through into May-ish or into May too. So
Good.
yeah, so. We're good to go. And well, let's see. I got to admit some more folks when I didn't realize it was making me admit. So everybody's joining now. All right. Looks like we got some other folks in. I apologize, guys. I usually do the no waiting room, but it fooled me this time. All right. Looks like we got the entirety of the board with us. So whenever you guys are ready
All
to.
right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. It is now 5:33 p.m. and I would like to call the TUID special board meeting to order. First item number two is the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'd move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, and a second.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Vote Alexa
Yes.
and vote Gene.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, review of public procedures for electronic handling participation by the public. Pursuant to House Bill 5002 and the Open Public Meetings Act amendments, basically allows us to have electronic meetings without a proper anchor location. Next item is number 4, public comment. TUID welcomes comments. We've set aside 15 minutes and allow up to 3 minutes for remarks. Going to try to keep on that schedule today.
Mike,
Does anybody have any questions?
I'd move that if anybody has questions while we're presenting what we're presenting, they can raise them as well. I think that it's hard for you to raise questions on something you don't know what's going to happen. So
Sure, and then I'll agree with that, and we can extend that down into number 5 action items, and just as long as we keep it reasonable, and don't want to spend a lot of time rehashing the same stuff that we've covered.
correct.
Does anybody have any comments or would like to speak to the board today? Not hearing none, I guess we'll move on. Next item is item 5, action items, subsection A, power purchase agreement, PPA, resolution 2026-04, and we'll need a motion to approve resolution 2026-04. Can I get a motion?
Have we seen that resolution?
I've got it here. No, we did not post it. We didn't post the last one
That's
either.
not
So
very helpful in deciding whether we're going to vote for it or not.
yeah, we had that set up for delivery and it didn't get added to the meeting notes. I can read over that motion or that resolution. And we can go that route. Or John, would you mind forwarding that resolution to Alexa and Jean, please? Basically, the resolution 2026-04, the Tickaboo Utility Improvement District is responsible for providing reliable, affordable electrical services to the Tickaboo community. Whereas TUID has evaluated long-term energy supply options to reduce diesel fuel dependence, stabilize operating costs, and improve system reliability. And whereas Taurus Energy has proposed development, ownership, and operation hybrid energy generation storage project consisting of all of the bullet points that were presented in the last meeting. Whereas, and that goes on through all the specifications. Whereas Taurus Energy will own, operate, maintain, and secure the system with no upfront costs, capital costs to TUID. This agreement includes provisions for capping battery storage at $10,000 per year, requiring Taurus Energy to match pricing of future viable technologies capable of serving load, including potential nuclear grid tie solutions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Tickaboo Utility Improvement District hereby approves execution of the power purchase agreement with Taurus Energy substantially and in form presented. Authorizes the board chair and general manager to execute all necessary agreements and supporting documents, finds that the project advances long-term reliability, cost stability, and energy sustainability objectives of TUID, and directs the staff to coordinate implementation and oversight of the project. And there's signature lines below that.
I'd move to adopt the foregoing read resolution.
Can I say something before we,
Yeah,
Not, once we get it approved, we go into discussion, Alexa. Or once we get it, once the motion is set before we vote, we can go into discussion.
okay,
So I need a second to move that motion forward.
it'll be all you, Mike.
I'll second that motion. Vote Gene,
yes,
vote Alexa,
No,
and I vote yes. Motion passes. Discussion on the resolution.
um, I just noticed that what can't possibly be the final contract was distributed a whole hour before the meeting, which seems a little tight for any serious review by the board members not included in a negotiation. Not that at this point that makes that much difference, but it seems a little.
Alexa, within 2 minutes of my getting, I forwarded it to you. They were supposed to have it to me this morning. And
Yeah,
then
I mean, I understand that things happen, but I think there's at least one serious issue with the changes that were made. And I emailed that, and I think somebody needs to look at that with and that has to do with that paragraph about when they're going to match prices. I think the new version is a lot less favorable to the district than the previous version. It's that the previous version said that they were going to negotiate in good faith when an alternate supplier can do better than redone version limits that to only nuclear energy and aligned to Hanksville, which are both instances that are not very likely to happen in the next 20 years. So
maybe I didn't review it right then, Alexa. You might be
at,
right. I think
at this point,
Yeah.
we might as well not have that paragraph in there. It's completely useless.
well, the agreement as it was before was useless because they'll negotiate good faith. I put in there that they were going to meet or match the rate that would be
Yeah, but
proposed.
then they're limited to just nuclear energy and a line from Hanksville.
That must have been put in there after then because I didn't have it that way. And I
Well,
didn't.
that's what it said in the agreement, and I think that before we approve this contract, we need to have a look at it.
Yeah, and if you're more confident with the previous language, Alexa, I'm sure they would be happy to put that back in there because they had it in there that way the first time.
Yeah.
The contract's been approved. We're basically ratifying it with a resolution at this point.
I don't think that the contract was never finished, so I don't know how it can possibly have been approved.
It was approved for legal modification that Gene did all last week.
Yeah, we did that mod, but it's that okay, Alexa. In all frankness, I was driving from my office back home, and I was in Salt Lake, and I got it. I sent it right out. I did not get to look at that, but I in the verbiage I gave them, and I sent you a copy of that earlier.
Right.
It said meet or match. It didn't make any mention of nuclear or of a line from
Yeah.
Hanksville. So that was an
Well,
addition they put in.
I guess that's the drawback
Yeah, pushing it.
of having it an hour before the meeting. Then it kind of confirms my point that that may be a little too. But other than than the specific language of the contract. I just want to mention one last time that I'm not comfortable with the terms of the agreement. I think paying 15% more for this contract and an unidentified larger percentage if there are price reductions in the future is not in the best interest of the district. And I am also not comfortable with the fact that the concerns of our major customer, who after all pays 65% of our bills, has been dismissed as a side issue. And I think it behooves us to maintain a good relationship with them. And I think the way these negotiations have been going is not forwarding that goal. I guess we can speak forever about all sorts of details, but also not comfortable with how renegotiating with Ultras and talking again to Taurus as backup kind of morphed into this whole new negotiation, and I have to take responsibility for that, for not noticing that earlier, but that kind of also leaves somewhat of a bad taste in my mouth. So just wanted to say that one last time. And I guess we just can move forward.
Mike, I think she made a good point in regards to that. They've limited that if the source comes from nuclear and or from the power line. That was not the agreement, and that was not what I put out to them. I put out to them that it was going to be. I shouldn't say I put out. Julia and I put out. It's saying that if there was
Who's Julia?
is my daughter. She's a corporate attorney. She does corporate work. She's a member of the New York Bar, California Bar,
Has
the
she
Utah Bar.
donated her services?
She what?
Are we gonna, has she donated her services or?
She has because of me. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Julia.
Yeah, and she spent a lot of time on it. So, but irrespective of that, Mike, I think that them throwing that in there, and I didn't have a chance to see it. I see it now. Then I want to go back and I think we can do what we're going to do, subject I mean to our getting that. Yeah, I don't want to be limited to nuclear and or a power line. It needs to be if there's any source that comes in. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and they negotiate to beat or match that in the rate. So I think that they kind of threw a curveball on that issue. That's my
Sure.
fault for not getting it earlier.
Okay. Yep. I can agree with that. The main point though that we all need to remember is TUID controls the district. So anyone that's going to be coming into the district, they'd have to go through us, and we I'm sure we would have to work it out with Taurus as well. The
I would
original, the
encourage you
original,
to
the
read the
original, the
Utah code.
original, Alexa, please. The original paragraph, everybody was fine with, and I'm sure they would put that back in there.
It
So
was we weren't fine with it because it had no bearing on it. It was just an illusory agreement, but it says something negotiate in good faith. The
that's kind of what I
the
thought too.
the verbiage we put in there that we sent to them, which apparently they added then the nuclear and the other that was not in there, and that's illusory, I think, because we don't know if there's going to be another source. There may be another solar company comes and says that we can they're they're putting in for a offshore marina or whatever. We can go to a lower price and run it up, and we have to be able to negotiate with Taurus. So yeah, I don't know that we should limit ourselves to a line from Garfield and or nuclear. I think that needs to be said. If there's a source that comes in and that makes it a lower rate, then they need to be able to not just negotiate good faith, but they need to be able to match it. And that's the one.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the,
what they're gonna, in their defense, and I think in anybody's defense that's investing the money they're investing in our area to provide power, they're not going to want to open it up to whoever TUID wants because
No.
That means we could get another solar provider in there at a lower price and they'd have to match it. They're not going to do that. I'd almost promise you that. So it's got to be a little bit more specific as far as I originally started this conversation. And I always said if it was a sustainable source like
Yeah.
Garcane or like a nuclear facility, a sustainable source that can handle the load and the future growth, then it would be, and something TUID approved was also in that language.
Well, then
Um,
that was in there with before. They just said they negotiate in good faith. So I think that we can incorporate that verbiage that you just mentioned in there and modify it. They've been easy to work with, but it's not it. But they made that change in there, and I think they waited last minute to get that. I pushed to get this agreement before this. I wrote, did everything I could to move this along, and then I got it an hour before. So. I think and that is a major issue. I think that the we don't leave it open that those negotiate in good faith that they will. I think we can tweak it and get that done with them.
yeah, so do I.
I don't see it as being insurmountable.
Yep, so do
May
I.
I make a comment, please?
Sure.
There is a provision in UTech code that allows areas to extract themselves from the certificated area if the provider that has the certificate is not in a position to provide power at a reasonable rate. So if somebody comes along in any of the parcels in the district that can provide power at half the rate of TUID, there is a mechanism for that area to get taken out of the TUID service area and then just stand on its own. So
Alexa,
that
is that by code?
that is by code.
Well, then that code supersedes our agreement.
Well, our agreement is not about that, but the certainty that TUID is in control of its service area, the many, 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 many square miles that it is not in place. There are mechanisms to get out of it.
For the whoever's doing the like a new developer or something. Are you referring to
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
if a
Okay.
new developer builds their own power structure and they can provide power to a larger area at
Yeah. 10
15
cents a
cents
kilowatt. Yeah.
per kilowatt hour, then there is a and TUID is not in a position to match that or come close to that, then they can be taken out. And it's not immediately dangerous. It's not immediately pertinent to the agreement right now.
But it could be.
It could have a big effect on us later, and that is what I keep saying, that we may end up being a high cost island in a sea of low cost development. I don't know how likely that scenario is, but the chance to that is non-zero.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You're right.
Um, and it's only a tiny portion of this deliberation, but
Is that relatively new code, Alexa?
I don't think so.
Was
Can't
it
I
established
can't
for data centers?
No, I think it's a lot older than that. I'm not
Okay.
really sure. I
I know
just
there's a
was
lot of, oh, sorry.
I was just perusing the code and I came across it and
Let, let
like I
me
said, I
let
don't
me
know
go ahead.
enough about this stuff to have a solid opinion on it,
Yeah.
but there is a mechanism for taking an area outside the certificated area of one utility and into its own little thing.
Mike, I think we can get around that by simply saying that if and add that Garfield and Garfield line and the potential nuclear or any other third party that comes in at a lower rate. And I think we just can tweak that with a couple of words.
Sure.
Because I
I
think
think
leaving it open just to say they'll negotiate in good faith, that doesn't mean anything. That has no, I mean, good faith to somebody else is one thing, and it's a judicial determination, and nobody wants to go into litigation over something. So I
sure. Yeah, I know a lot of, like I say, a lot of utilities around the nation are faced with not being able to supply a demand for data centers and, being allowing data centers basically to supply their own power. Now they can't sell it outside of their business.
or their usage, right?
Yeah, but they can generate their own inside the district for that purpose. But yeah, that's new to me too.
Taurus was telling us about a project that they're doing. I believe it's in Idaho that they're doing a solar system, and because they couldn't provide the usage or the wattage that they needed to do the project, and there was also in a utility district. The utility district had to basically back down and say, well, whatever, because the rates are so much less. So
Sure,
I think Alexa's referring to probably a code that provides for exactly that.
sure. Well, what's your thoughts, Gene? Do you want to go back
I
to Taurus and
I think I go back to Taurus and do that, and I think we can march forward with the subject to getting that done. I mean,
yep, yep.
are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you
fine with that.
are you Alexa?
I'm not sure that matters very much.
Well, it doesn't today, like you said. It could in the future, though. I mean, you hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, and I think there's, I would support making the contract better than it is.
That verbiage in that area. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
6.6.
So at which moment do you think we should make the contract public?
As soon as it's executed.
Um, I
That's per Utah Records Act. Go ahead, Gene.
we shared with Bob and Dave all the way through this. Are they online?
Dave was earlier. I see. There is a Dave online.
Yeah, I'm online.
Okay, so we provided you with everything. I did anyway. We sent you a copy of everything we had going on with them, and this pretty much paralleled it. And I don't know that Mike, Mike saying the code provides for that, but I think being good business people and being mindful of your participation in the group, I don't know that it's going to make any big change, but I think, David, do you think it's important for you to review this before we approve it?
Uh, I I would definitely appreciate being able to review it. Some of our concern on the future development is we know for sure that we will be getting power on other parcels at a much cheaper rate, and if they are not able to meet or beat that, we will be petitioning to be able to, service any future development off of another power provider if we can get a rate that's substantially cheaper.
Well, okay. So let's recap then what we have in place with this proposed agreement right now. I understand then that if you were able to bring in power, and if you're asking if you could then pull out, or you'd be able to pull out of the district because you have a smaller power bill, then I would think that it would be incumbent on whoever you have come in and say, look, I can do it with this number. And then we go back to Taurus and say this is where it's at. It's not there today, Dave. I mean, it's been pie in the sky all along, going along, and I don't see you've got anything in motion that would make it so that we could be able to do that right now. So I think that the fact that if you have the ability to bring that power in at a lower rate, our agreement would read, and it should be modified, so it's not just Garfield and nuclear, that they would renegotiate our agreement to be more in line with whatever the rate is that you would bring in. And I think that that verbiage is something we need to, maybe clarify a little bit more. And I think that's what it does, is that if they bring in a rate like that, then they have to meet it. But it would be sustainable. It has to be able to service our needs as well as your needs in order to pull you out of it. Do you understand?
Yes. On the immediate future, we'll be obviously looking at power in Tapestry and offshore marina, and it is something that is relatively immediate because we would be providing power for customers down there. And so if they're able to meet or beat what proposed power is, I think having that in that contract is critical. From our side, we're agnostic. The most important thing for any future development is the cost of that power. And so if they can meet or beat another power source in the next year or 2 years, we're agnostic who provides it. The most critical thing is how affordable it is.
Yeah. Well, they've made it clear to us that it's not sustainable, or nor could they do it by furnishing that clear down to Tapestry with the way the systems function now, or down to offshore marina without running that line, or to the mines. That it's really cost prohibitive for it to occur that way. We've broached that subject with them, and I don't think that the Altius agreement provided to run power with that same system down to any place else other than just the TUID district.
That is correct. Yeah, they were going to be doing an alternative power source, alternative to solar. But it is something that we are going to definitely need to broach with TUID fairly immediately on Tapestry, because that is a situation where there will be a customer base there. And so, and then potentially at offshore, there will be as well. And so it is something that is in the next couple of years. I do need to point out, though, today, National Park Service did come out with their press release about relocating Bullfrog Marina. And so the next 2 years are going to be some very tight years until Stanton Creek Boat Ramp opens up. And so it is something for the board to be aware of as they're working with Taurus. And so National Park has officially said that they are relocating the Bullfrog Marina to Hall's Crossing until the time that the Stanton Creek ramp is opened up, and then they'll be moving that marina to Stanton Creek.
And just not relocating back to the Bullfrog location?
That's correct. That's what their press release today said, is that they would be relocating it to Stanton Creek. And
Yeah, that's
so
what I.
that could change next year if water levels increase, who knows? But the press release that came out today indicated that they would be relocating it to Hall's Crossing until Stanton Creek ramp is open, and then they would relocate it to Stanton Creek.
Well, TUID, with any agreement we have, the old Altius agreement, it was proposal, and the agreement we have with Taurus would not be able to provide Tapestry and or offshore marina. I mean, it's not feasible. So if you had a source that there, I mean, how could we argue? I mean, why wouldn't we let you out of the district?
Yeah, and that would be, yeah, I think that's would be a totally fine solution. And so, and then having that language in there is definitely, it doesn't hurt. Like if they're given that opportunity to meet or beat it, that's great.
Yeah. Well, the more the merrier. I mean, if you're having a bigger draw and a bigger production, I mean, I don't know if the bigger you get, the cheaper it can go down. I'm not familiar with that enough, but I know that when we broached that subject, in fact, you were with me when I asked them about doing a going to be able to cover in the mines and offshore, and they said it's just not feasible the way their systems are laid out. So I don't see how, and I'm speaking totally out of turn probably, but I don't see how that we could restrict you to stay in our district and not provide the power to you if you had a source down there to do it. But right with the system, Taurus cannot, and neither could Altius go from this location and service that in a cost wise way. They couldn't do it.
And
Yeah,
we've done that in the past with North Lake Powell, with offshore marina.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same situation where, we can't serve offshore marina at the current time, and you guys can provide your own power. So I don't see an
Yeah,
issue
that's
with you providing your own power at the Tapestry location either.
I
yeah.
think
The issue
The
will
issues come
be,
in.
yeah,
What's up?
we
Okay, go
would
ahead.
have to separate off because we would be selling the power. And so that would become the issue because we can provide our own power, but as the residential development comes in there, there'll be individual customers that'll be purchasing it. And so we would need to be able to partition off the other trust lands parcels so that they could be able to sell power to customers there, creating a new district that would
Okay.
serve those.
Okay.
yeah, Alexa, do you see anything wrong with that at all? I mean, you've got the wealth of knowledge in that area. Is there any prohibition, any way that would prohibit us or the TUID district from letting them sever us out if we can't service it?
No, I actually think that is what would need to happen.
Right. It makes sense. I mean, if Dave and Bob came up and said, "Hey, we're ready to pop in this tapestry thing, bring us down our power," we couldn't do it.
Yeah, and interestingly, that is exactly the
Oh,
conversation that we have that got us started with Ultras to begin with.
well,
So,
there's a caveat there, Gene. Every power district in the United States requires the developer to bring the line to you, not us bring it to them.
Right.
So that's kind of how the district model works. So
But
there's
if we're
that
in,
caveat as well. But I would really
hey
like to
guys,
investigate
I have
the,
to leave. I have somewhere else I need to be. So the two of you, you have a quorum. Just whatever you decide.
you, Alexa.
I
Have a
was
good
not
evening.
gonna vote for it anyway, so it'll be the same in the end. So thank you all, and I will listen to
Oh,
the video.
one more question, Alexa. Could you forward me that code, that Utah code? I'd like
I
to
would
read through
have to
that.
re-look it up,
Okay.
but I
I
can
would
do that. I can do
I'd
that.
really like to suss that out and make sure
Yeah,
that we're all on the
yeah.
right page there.
I found it once, so I can find it again.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Really, I think, Gene, our orders are clear. We need to just edit that
yeah, we
six
just have to
six.
that, and that's going to be easier to do. And then I know you're saying we need to execute the agreement. We're going to go forward with it, and I don't have any problem in sending this last copy we have over to Bob and Dave.
I'm not comfortable with that. That goes against Utah Code and Records Act. So
Does it?
let's
Oh,
wait
that's
until
good.
it's signed and then we will move forward with that.
I I can't believe that there's any kind of a code section that would provide that you couldn't provide copies to be, I mean, so it's, you're, okay, let me get back and ask the question. So any pre-signed agreement is not subject to disclosure?
It has to be executed. So it has to be physically signed. And then it's released to public documents. That's correct.
Well, Dave and Bob have everything that we had in that proposal. Nothing's changed in it but two items, so I don't
No,
know.
but making another wrong doesn't make it right there. I
No,
think we
no,
just need to
no,
start
I
taking
know.
care
So
of it.
it was a proposal though, and the proposal can always be shared.
Yeah, and it has been modified since then. So
Yeah, but with
I'm
those
not
two,
trying to be I'm not trying to be unreasonable here. I'm just really trying to stick with the rules, and make sure we
yeah.
stay with
Yeah,
I
we
think we're
have
supposed
to.
to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, we don't have, we're gonna vote anyway, and that's why Alexa left, so we're where we're at. So what do we need to do here? Do we have anything else we need to?
We're good. We voted on the resolution, so we're good. And as soon as that correction is made, we can sign and execute that agreement with Taurus. And
Okay, that's good. I think you need to see if there's anybody else has any input that they would want to, or questions, right?
yeah, sure.
I don't know who's on the call. It doesn't come up on my phone.
Does anybody have anything else they would like to comment? I'd like to keep it kind of short and make sure we don't get off too far in the weeds.
My biggest concern from the North Lake Pell side is, especially with these next 2 years, that the contract is solely based on consumption and not production and minimums. The next 2 years are going to have a pretty dramatic impact on Tikaboo with not having lake access or having a marina.
I
What
think
was
that
your comment on consumption and production, Dave? I didn't understand that.
That TUID is not forced to be able to pay like a minimum fee to them. That TUID would have to pay Taurus based upon the consumption of the district versus the production of the system. And I know
Okay,
we
yeah, and
talked
that's
about that, and that was in the bullet points that you guys had mentioned last time, is that it was based upon consumption
yes,
and not production.
it is based on consumption. The excess that is referenced in the proposal refers to the kilowatt hours above the 565,000 that they're agreeing to supply. So if our load increased, we would pay the same rate for those kilowatt hours above 565 as we do the ones below. And then Taurus also has the 75% minimum consumption. So if our load does drop way back, we're basically going to be paying for that consumption. But in a nutshell, I can give you a close example of that. Right now, we're paying about $20,000 a month in diesel. And if we hit minimum with Taurus, we're going to be a little over $8,000 a month in that minimum payment. So there's substantial savings there. And faced with the diesel fuel prices we have today and the volatility of that market, this is really going to shore up Tikaboo and give us some room to breathe and move forward, I think, Dave, and it's also going to give us the ability to rethink rates, restructure rates, lower the commercial and the residential rates as well. And just really kind of put up a barrier between that diesel market that's been killing us for so long and the Caterpillar mechanics coming down at $7,000 a trip. It's gonna give us a lot of room to breathe. Anything else?
I agree with that. This is Chuck.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, I agree with what that was just said.
Yeah, the diesel's it's just crazy. The diesel and those generators is
We
we
got
gotta figure out a way to get away from that as much as we can.
Yeah.
And that's what really pushed me, and I think Gene as well, into the Taurus contract is they've got guarantees. They're expecting actually 10% generator runtime. There's going to be times in the spring and the fall when those things don't run at all for months. When the load's down. And that's going to give us a lot of time to really get caught up, hopefully get that plant cleaned up, get that other generator rebuilt, get things, back to tip-top shape.
Yep. That's all I got.
All right, anybody else have a comment real quick? All right, hearing none.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Well, we put on an announcement of the next regular board meeting. And I think from this point forward, especially with all the work that we're going to have to do, it makes a lot of sense to go back to monthly meetings. So the next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, April 8th at 5:30 p.m. That's a Wednesday, second Wednesday of every month. So we're going to go back to that schedule just to keep the communication open with the community, the board, the contractors, everything through this process. I added an executive session to the agenda. That's going to stay there permanently from now on. If we need it, we got it. We don't have to try to, because you really can't go back and put one in if you've decided you needed it halfway through the meeting. But we can skip it. So we're going to skip number 7, executive session. We don't need it. And the next one is 8. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Gene.
I made a motion. Let's adjourn.
Okay. I'll second. Vote. Gene.
Yes.
Mike says yes, so we are good to go. And our emails are listed on the public notice website. If you guys have any questions during the week, weekend, whatever, feel free to write us an email, Gene or I or Alexa, and we'll help you out as much as we can.
And also, people have our phone numbers. I mean, it's not like we're anything other than part of the community. If they have questions or things that you want to answer, whatever, you don't need to wait for the board meeting. I mean, we can actually address any issues you might have that are just questions or issues that are simple that don't need to be before the board, or we'll say to you, need to take that before the board. Don't you think,
Yep.
Mike?
Yeah, I think so. And I love power. If you got power questions, call me or email me because it's my whole life. So, yeah, feel more than welcome to reach out.
I have no problem having my phone number available to people to call if they have any questions or issues or want to know something. I have no problem with that.
Sure. All right. That being said, thank you, John. Thank you, Connie, for setting us up and keeping everything going down there.
Thank you, guys.
And Gene, if you want to reach back out to legal at Taurus and get that amended, and once you're good with that, then we'll go ahead and move forward and get that thing rolling.
I'll do it first thing in the morning. I'll probably send them a text or an email tonight outlining it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know how that goes, and
So I'll
keep me
copy you
posted.
and Alexa and John. So okay.
Right.
Sounds very good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.